Okay guys, so COVID-19 is causing chaos, but if you're a computer programmer, this is an opportunity to build softwares that drive social impact. You can do that by using any of the free APIs that is provided by the World Health Organization, NCDC, all those guys out there. Half of the job has been done for you. I'll show you how you can participate in the global hackathon currently going on and how you can use this data to make sense out of it, to build applications out of it, and then to try to solve this COVID-19 problem using your superpowers as a computer programmer. Secondly, if you've never participated in any global hackathon before, like NASA Space Apps, Google Hashcodes, and the likes, this is your opportunity to be part of a global historic hackathon. So you could build something to help the society, to contribute to humanity, and then to help stop the spread of COVID-19 or to solve the problems that comes with it. My name is Faith Philemon. I'm a software developer, computer Einstein, and instructor. So in a minute, I'll be jumping into my laptop. I'll show you a very quick demo of an application I built and how you can do the same, and just to show you what's possible with these things. Alright, so to join the Global Hackathon, you're going to need to come to this website, and then you read all the information you need to know about the Global Hackathon, what's it all about, why it's all about, and all the variations, and then the variations and everything you can just do in order to be part of this historic hackathon. So scroll down to see all the things you need to do, the deadline for the submission of your code, and the repositories you're going to be submitting your code to, and all that. So enough of that. So I'll be introducing you to the API. So the first one is Postman API, Postman COVID-19 API. So these guys give you a lot of interesting, API. For example, this first one is from the World Health Organization. You can see even Twitter feeds and YouTube feeds, and then using this API you have access to all these things easily. We have the COVID-19 tracking project. Let's try to view this one. I will open the documentation, and then I will just show you how it looks like. So here is it. Now you'll see all the endpoints here of the API, and let's say you want to see data from states or countries globally. Okay, let's try to open this. So let me open it in a new tab so that I'll see how it looks like. Yes, you can see the JSON data. So it gives you all the information, for example, the states, the country, the site where the source information is coming from, the data site, the main site, and everything related. I can view this in chats, okay, it's not giving me. Yeah, let's look at another example. This COVID-19 tracker REST API. So let me open the documentation again, and then you'll see how it looks here. MTN is trying to be messy and slow. Okay, so here is it. Now you have access to the REST API on this URL. All you need to do is just to grab it and then use it. So in a minute I'll be showing you how you can do that. So stay back and stay tuned. So let's view this API and see how it looks like. If you don't know about API, it's something you can learn in a day. It's not difficult. And the good thing about programming languages these days, almost every programming language I know out there supports HTTP services. You can create RESTful services. So this is a summary of the data. So on this endpoint you have access to this data, and then you can use it in your application. Now this is where things begin to get really interesting. Once you have this data, you can do a lot with it. The limitation is just it depends on how you think, whatever you want to do, and all that. So the second API I want to show you is this one called COVID-19api.com. I'll also be dropping you the link to the site. This is the one I used to build this application. I'll be showing you in a minute. So it has the same the same. Okay, look at the endpoint here. It has almost the same information with this one. It will be showing you all the data in real time, everything you need to know. Let's go and open this summary. I think it's better for us. So I open the summary, and then yeah, you can see how it looks. So you have what? New confirmed cases, total confirmed cases, new death today, as of today, new recovered cases, total recovered cases. So you have all the informations for every country. If you scroll down, every single country in the world, the total number of confirmed cases. So this was the very API I used to build this application. Okay, so this is the one I used to build this application. So as you can see, I have all the data I need here. Every single country with the flag, the new deaths, new confirmed cases, whatever, everything, you know, everything I just need it here. While this application, like I said earlier, this doesn't do much, but this just to show you what's possible, to show you how you can have access to this data and then do whatever you want to do with it. I'll give you a few ideas before I end this video of what you can do, how you can make sense out of this data, so you don't just build application to display stuff like that. Like I keep saying, this just to show you an example of how to use HTTP services, this REST APIs, not to build those applications that can display informations like this. You got to do something a lot more interesting, something that will solve problems and stuff like that. So here's the source code for this very application, and I'll be showing you. I think I've deployed this on GitHub, so I'll be dropping you the link to my GitHub profile so you can download the software and then you can integrate it or add to it or contribute to it or just do whatever you feel like doing with it, and then you can use it to inspire or as a starting point for you. For example, this one is focused on the whole world, so you can just use this and then build something focused on just Nigeria. Instead of showing the flag of the world countries, it will be showing, you know, the 36 states, and then showing all this data, you know, by state and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do right here. I know this is complicating, might be complicating for some of you because I built this on a PHP framework. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to create a new simple project, very simple one-page file, so that you see how this is done. I'll see you in the next video. Awesome. Okay, in order to start, I'm going to move away from my desktop. Let me make this bolder so you'll be seeing my code. Let me move to a place where Apache will be able to see my code. I'll be using PHP to show you this example. So from the desktop, let me move away and go to CD, drive C, and then Laragon, and then www. Now hit enter to get into the folder. So now let me confirm that I'm inside. I'll say ls to show me the list of files. Correct. So let me clear this away. Now that I'm inside www, let me create a new folder, and then I'll call the folder COVID-19 as one word. And then I'll go into the folder cd COVID-19. Alright, now I'm inside the folder. So now I'm going to create a file inside the folder. I'll call it index.php. So I'll say touch index.php. Now if I say ls, it's going to show me my index.php. So now the next thing I want to do is to open it inside VS Code, which is my favorite code editor. So I'll say code and dot. So give it a minute, it's going to open it up, and then we'll begin to code right away. Amazing. Okay. Cool. So now I'm in VS Code. I don't need this. Let me close it up, and then let me go into my index.php file. So just like I did previously, I'll make this bolder so you'll be able to see my code. This is too big. Okay, yeah, I believe this is okay. So I'll create my opening PHP tags and then I'll close it. So there are three things we need to do. First, we need to grab the data from the API. Second, we need to decode the data because it's coming as JSON. We need to decode it so that we'll be able to read the data programmatically and then use them in our application. So decode the data. And then third thing, use the data. Are we together? All right, so let's do this one by one. First of all, I'll come back here to copy this URL because I'm going to need it. So I'll copy the URL to the API. I'll copy it because I'll need it in my code. So I'll create a new variable. I'll call it URL, and I'll say equals to this URL I just copied. I'm going to assign the URL to this variable. Now the next thing I want to do is to what? Grab the data. So to do that, I will say I'll create a new variable. I'll call it COVID JSON. Okay, now I'll call it COVID data. COVID JSON data. I think it's better. JSON data. And I'll say is equals to. So I'll show you the simplest way to do this. You use the built-in function called what? File get contents. So now this built-in function takes in what? A parameter, which is the name of two parameters. So I'm going to pass my URL, my URL here, and I'll say true. Let me take this off the screen. So I'll close my statement. So now what I'm doing here is essentially using this built-in function in PHP to grab what? To read this file. So that's just what I'm doing here. So let me add a comment so you see it. So read what? File. Sorry, read JSON file. Or let me say data. Yeah, read JSON data. So that's just what I'm doing here. So I'm grabbing it and then I'm saving it inside this variable called what? COVID JSON data. So now that I've grabbed it, the next step is what? To decode the data I just grabbed. So if I decode it, what I want to do is to convert it into a PHP array. When I convert it into an array, I'll be able to use it programmatically with no headache. So I'll create a new variable and I'll call it COVID array data, and I'll say is equals to. So what I'm going to do is use another function called JSON encode. Sorry, JSON decode. Now when I say JSON decode, I will grab this and then I'll pass it as an input parameter to this JSON decode function, and that's it. So now we're grabbing the data on line 6. On line 9, we're using the data we grab and then passing it to this other guy and then converting it back to PHP array, and that's it. So the next thing is to use the data, but before we do that, before we use it, let's be sure that okay, whatever we're doing is correct. So I'll say print r, which is a function we use to view array data. I want to pass this guy into it so we'll be sure we're getting the right thing. So print r, and I'll pass this guy to it, and right now I want to go to the browser and then see what I'm doing. So I'm using Laragon, so in order to do that, I'll come to Laragon, then I'll look for the project, which is what? COVID-19, and I'll view it in the browser. Select it, so I'll view it, so that I'll be sure everything is working correctly. Remember, you have to be online for this to work because you're grabbing the data from the cloud, so you have to be online for it to work. Now I don't know why this guy is taking time. Let's see, let's wait. I believe that should be network related issue, something. Oh, great. So you can see how the data, yes, you can see how the data is appearing. If you don't have the PHP array viewer installed in your Google Chrome, you're not going to see it organized like this, but at the end of the day, it's essentially the same thing you're going to be seeing. So now we're sure that we're getting the right thing. So as you can see, if you remember your associative array in PHP, this is just like your, sorry, not associative array per se, your normal simple arrays. This is going to be what? With this, you can have, with this key, you can have access to all the items in this array. Same with this. With this key also, you can have access to everything in this single array. So let's jump back to VS Code and then see how to implement this. So now that we're sure we're getting this right, what we need to do is to try to display it. So let's say we want to display just the global information, you know, just the global summary. So that means this will get us everything we need, right? So let's come here. So first thing I'm going to say what? COVID-19 array data. Since this is an array, when I pass this key sign, and then I say global, right? It's going to give me what? Everything containing the global. So I'll come here and I'll say print R again. Print R. But this time I'm not just going to print the whole thing. I just want to print the global data. So let me go back, reload the page and see what I have. Okay, we have an error. Okay, so this error message is saying we're trying to access a class object like an array. So let's go and debug the code. It's actually something not to worry about. So instead of trying to access it as an array key, we just need to add an arrow symbol, and then that will fix it. So let's reload and see what we have. Perfect. So now we have just the global data, so which means we can now go further and then dig deeper into the array to pick each of these items in order to display data. So let's say we want to know the total confirmed cases. So I'll copy this and then I'll come back to the code, and then here I'm going to say echo just to display it. And then here I'll say total confirmed cases, and then I'm going to concatenate. No need to concatenate. I'll just paste this here. Sorry. Okay, let me use single quote instead, because I think I enjoy using single quotes better in this case. So I'll use a single quotes, and then I'll concatenate. Then I'll come here to say COVID-19 array data, and then I'll come here to say global, and then inside global I'm going to pass this as a key. This should be able to get us what we need. So then I'll call the global key, and from the global key I'll dig deeper to say total confirmed cases. So let's see what this gives us. Can you see? So now we have what? Total confirmed cases. So this is just a very simple example, and then this to show you what you can do to access almost anything within this whole data stack. So you can do a lot. You can look through it and then display as much information as you want to do. Okay, so with these few lines of code, we've been able to get and then make use of this data coming from the REST API on this very website. So this is something you could do. Everything depends on you. Like I said earlier, don't just build applications to display data. You can think of a lot of things. Are we together? For example, you could build, you could use this data to predict events related to this disease in the next 1 month. You can use artificial intelligence libraries like TensorFlow and a lot of other things out there, to just predict this data, solve a lot of problem. One thing you want to keep in mind whenever you're building this application is, okay, what problem am I trying to solve? Because you need to, for example, if you just built an application to display data like this one that we have here, you're going to be solving just one problem, which is what? You're meeting the need for misinformation. You're keeping people informed, but that's not enough. There are a lot of people doing that, so you got to do something more challenging. Maybe you want to pick the locations and then maybe display them on a map so that travelers will know, okay, there's a case here, we have to be careful here, we have to wear our mask here. A lot of things. You could create an app to educate people, and there are lots of things you could do, just with that. So I hope you learned something from this. I created something very similar to this in JavaScript using Node.js. I will upload it also to my GitHub profile so you'll be able to have access to it. But I think this is also simple enough for you to learn from. and most languages have a very simple syntax for grabbing data from a REST API and doing something with it like that. So I believe you learned something from this, especially if you're not too familiar with the concept of consuming data from APIs and building them into your application. So I hope you learned a lot, and in the next video I'll show you one more thing you can do. You can use your super skills as a developer to do in order to solve problems.